Good afternoon and welcome to your weekly FX options report. Today is Wednesday, March 10th, 2010. In midweek trade, the U.S. equity markets are trading mixed within a tight range. All this week, we've seen that U.S. economic data has been light and the markets have been struggling to find a direction. At the same time, overseas economic data releases that came out on Wednesday showed that China's trade surplus narrowed to $7.6 billion in February from the $14.2 billion seen in January. Now, the positive economic data out from China did lend support to overall risk appetite and helped lend support to more signs of a gradual global economic recovery. Now, exports in China spiked 45.7% in February from January's 21% gain, and imports rose by 44.7% in February from January's record gain of 85.5%. Now, overseas in the UK, data did come in lower with manufacturing output down in January while industrial production also fell. And in the U.S., wholesale inventories came out down by 0.2% in January while sales rose for the 10th straight month in a row, up by 1.3%. Now, one way to trade your views on U.S. dollar strength or weakness is to take a look at ISE's FX options. One advantage is that they are U.S. dollar denominated. For more information, you can go to www.fxoptions.com. And now in your daily trend report for the majors, let's start out by looking at the AUX, which is the U.S. dollar against the Australian currency. That is the U.S. dollar against the Australian currency. Now for the AUX, a rebound is expected. The RSI is supported by a rising trend line, and the pair is pulling back on its support ahead of a rebound. The preference of trading central analysts for the AUX is long positions above 106 with targets at 116.50 and 122.50 in extension. Now moving on to the BPX, which is the US dollar against the British pound, the upside does prevail. The pair has rebounded on its new support as the RSI stands within a bullish channel. The preference of trading central analysts for the BPX is long positions above 65 with targets at 68 and 70 in extension. Now taking a quick look at the CDD, which is the U.S. currency against the Canadian dollar, a rebound is in sight. Now, even though a continuation of the consolidation cannot be ruled out, its extent should be limited. The preference of trading central analysts is long positions above 102 with targets at 105.40 and 107.75 in extension. Now let's take a look at the EUI, which is the U.S. currency against the euro. For that pair, the upside does prevail. It is also rebounding on its bullish channel lower boundary as the RSI is supported by a rising trend line. The preference of trading central analysts for the EUI is long positions above the pivot of 72, with targets standing at 74.50 and 76.15 in extension. And for the SFC, which is the U.S. currency against the Swiss franc, the upside does prevail. The pair does remain within a bullish channel and is currently challenging its resistance. The preference of trading central analysts for the SFC is long positions above 105 with targets at 108.75 and 110.25 in extension. Last but not least, let's take a look at the YUK, which is the U.S. dollar against the Japanese yen. Now a rebound is expected for that pair. It is also rebounding on its support and should reach its previous high. The preference of trading central analysts for the YUK's long positions above the pivot of 88 with targets at 93.50 and 96 in extension. Now let's move on to your weekly trend opinion for the major ISE FX option pairs. Now last week the US dollar did trade mixed against the major currency and traded within a range against the majors but did gain against the exotic pairs. Now trading central analysts were stopped out on their calls for the CDD, which was their last trade alert. In terms of portfolio performance, since its inception of August 2007, it is up by 1,470.37%, and since the beginning of this year, 2010, the portfolio is up by 169.56%. We do have one trade alert for you here, which is for the SKA. Now, this week, as recommended in their last follow-up for the SKA, the daily RSI is breaking below its rising trend line, and the pair is currently challenging its bearish flag, a lower boundary. And looking ahead to next week, trading central analysts will be looking at the exotic pairs as the US dollar is poised for weakness against those currencies. They will be looking at the CDD, PZO, as well as the AUX. Now, they will be looking at the CDD because it is under pressure and challenging a strong support level at 102. Also for the CDD, the RSI does lack downward momentum. They will be looking at the PZO, which is currently challenging a horizontal support at 126, which is also its channel lower boundary. And last but not least, they will be watching the AUX because it is pulling back on its support and technical indicators do call for caution. That does wrap it up for this week's FX Options Report. Make sure to tune in next Wednesday for your latest update. Thanks for watching and have a great day.